as I said, people have asked us to do some world building, exploration, and some character building. So we thought it'd be fun to write out all of the racial traits available either in raw or in UA, and then we want to randomize, choose like maybe 3 or 4 or however many, and then see what kind of culture we can build around that new race.
Yeah, we made a spreadsheet of 208 racial traits, and then just kind of set up a randomizer in the spreadsheet to spit out 3 numbers and see if we can build a race and a culture and all that stuff off of 3 randomized racial traits. So
okay, so let's get our first racial trait. So the first racial trait is poisonous skin, and that I think that comes from
the grung.
Yeah, that toad race.
Yeah.
Frog race. The
Frog.
second one is powerful build, which might be from, I think, 2 or 3 of them. There's that rhino one. That new rhino race has powerful build.
Rhino?
There's a couple others.
The hippo one?
The hippo, yeah, the hippo one.
And the Goliath, I think Centaur, Minotaur. There's a few that get that one.
And the last one is Reach to the Blaze, and I'm gonna have to look that one up real quick. Fire Genasi have Reach to the Blaze, so let's look that up real quick.
Gotcha. I mean, it makes sense.
Well, Reach to the Blaze is, the Produce Flame cantrip, as well as Burning Hand spell, and you can do these abilities. I think it says once per day when you finish a long rest.
Yeah.
So we're looking at
poison skin, fire magic, and
powerful build.
Something big. All right, so that's interesting because poison of fire, that makes me think of like alchemy type stuff.
Yeah, like with an alchemist jug, you can have either oil that burns or you can have acid as well. And I think alchemists or artificers, I think it's just alchemists are they have like some resistance to poison by like level 14 or something like that.
It might.
I think so with the alchemist. I'm
kind of getting a vibe for salamanders a little bit.
Ooh.
Because they have like oil skin and they get very fiery. So maybe what if it was like some kind of yuan-ti or a salamander that has like the poison going on, but it's also got fire to it.
Yeah, isn't there a race that has the carapace?
Now I'm thinking Pokemon. Like a lot of poison Pokemon can learn like flamethrower, and so what if this is going to be like a kind of that poisonous type Pokemon, but there's also a fire aspect, like sulfur maybe, that kind of stuff, poisonous gas.
So we're looking at a race of salamanders that are giant, super muscular, and they'd probably live in an arid climate where it's more beneficial to not get eaten by bigger predators. So, I mean, they're giant, so there's got to be even bigger predators for them.
Yeah. And if I remember right, the poison skin from the grung is basically like if they grapple someone or someone grapples them, the poison skin hurts them. And so this fits where, I mean, you could even reflavor it. Like instead of us doing poison skin, what if we do fire skin? Something like a salamander, if not a salamander, because salamanders are like elementals.
Yeah.
On their plane
and then to think of a way to make it more like sentient. I'm reading a novel series called The Long Earth. I don't know if anyone's read that, by Stephen Baxter.
I believe you.
And Terry Pratchett. But basically, like, they come in contact with these sentient creatures who either build up societies or learn English if they come into contact with other humanoid creatures. And I'm trying to think of ways that we can make a culture around these salamanders who are, upright and huge. Like, what sort of society would they live in? Are they, like, do they enslave smaller salamander creatures based on their huge size? Put them to work? I don't know what else.
I definitely get the vibes of like maybe they live in a place kind of like a Yellowstone, because the obvious one is like, oh, it's a volcano. But what if they live somewhere with a lot of sulfur and
a big caldera? Yeah,
a caldera. That'd be cool. We could call it a Calderan.
Calderan?
Yeah, that's the name of the race. Be a Calderan. That's actually pretty metal. I like that. Calderan. It writes itself. Yeah, so the Calderans, they're this snake-like people. Instead of being cold-blooded, they're warm-blooded, hot-blooded even. and they.
Well, if they're cold-blooded, that means that they like the heat from the caldera.
Oh yeah,
So
I'm not talking scientifically. I'm making a jokey joke.
Oh, okay.
And so they thrive in fire, and they probably swim because like if you have enough hot springs, like they probably form some underground networks of water that people above the surface who get boiled alive would not discover. But they could, like snakes, be like slithering through all these underground networks of hot springs
and releasing that oil from their skin that may be poisonous to the touch would allow them to like slime their way through these rock tunnels.
Yeah. So then they start to feel like what is it, the like is it the storm sorcerer that can like snake through things like water, kind of like that. So yeah, I like this idea. So the Calderans, they're the snake-like people that have oily skin, so they can easily get through very narrow passages underground, and they survive in boiling water because I guess we'd also have to give them fire resistance or maybe even immunity. They're a powerful build. Maybe they're one of those things where it's like they can become very compact for when they're slithering around, but then when they can like rise up and be like very actually quite big and muscular, or maybe not muscular, but maybe they're just like super toned. So that's why they have a powerful build, and like their big snaky tail gives them a lot of leverage.
I like the idea of Reach to the Blaze, where they've got this inherent magic ability to cast fire. If they worship this caldera, this volcano, or whatever it is, in our example, Yellowstone, they would have, I don't know, I think that their spellcasters would be more higher up in society. They would be revered more. If everybody has these abilities to cast fire, there should be some like fire rituals that they do.
So fire damage is usually resisted by creatures that are underwater. So being able to cast Burning Hands while in boiling water, their habitat, wouldn't actually be great. So I'd probably change it to be kind of like the dragon turtle, where it's like a steam breath. So instead of burning hands, maybe they breathe out steam, and so it can damage creatures even underwater because it boils. So that would be a cool benefit. So some rituals they might have. I think an obvious one is they it's morbid, but they might sacrifice creatures by dipping them into the water, or they might even hunt that way.
And then their sorcerer, the revered sorcerer, who is the leader of the clan, could consume the boiled flesh of whatever creatures they're sacrificing.
Yeah, Elven Firefly said maybe a rite of passage is that, so maybe they don't grow up being in the boiling water. That means that's just a tool they use, and the younglings are pushed into it and it activates their resistance. It would be cool if like when they're born, they're all just like white, like their scales are all white, but then when they get pushed into a caldera, they kind of, their scales become almost rainbow. You know, like that sulfuric, if you've been to Yellowstone, it's like that rainbow color going through the sulfur in the water. I'm not a scientist, but maybe that's what an activated Calderan looks like when they've entered the boiling water and they've become adults, as they become like rainbow scales.
Yeah, and there can be class tiers too, based on what color you transform to, whatever scale color you have. You know, that kind of determines your lot in life or your responsibilities and roles in your clan.
Maybe they thrive in desert aquifers because a lot of water in the desert is below ground, so they're more subterranean there.
Yeah.
But maybe in places like high mountains like Yellowstone, it's more wintry, and so maybe they thrive a little differently.
I like this comment from Balkamian. A ritual could be carrying a rock across the caldera. That sounds a lot like a pilgrimage. They have to reach, maybe the clans are spread throughout this arid climate, and they have to make a pilgrimage to the main caldera at some point. Since they're like stronger creatures, they have to tie a rock to their back, and they have to traverse the arid desert to get to the caldera. And if the rock breaks or melts, they're not like worthy to reach the caldera.
Yeah. Okay. And now I'm reminded. Okay. So in Horizon Zero Dawn, their expansion pack was basically Yellowstone, and so there was the Banuk tribe that lived there, and I think one of their rites was something like you had to go like survive out in the wilderness for a few days. So what if they had to hike to the top of a mountain? It's really cold, obviously, and they had to get a big chunk of ice and then carry that down to like the caldera. So it was like they had to survive out in the wilderness, get the ice, and then before it melts or breaks apart, they have to get it to the caldera to melt.
That's so you're saying like on a mountaintop, kind of like how in like Nepal's notoriously very hot, but their mountain is very snowy at times.
Yes.
So they have to grab a chunk of ice and take it down.
Yeah, from a
before it
glacier or
melts.
something. Yeah.
Ooh, I like that.
So then they have fierce enemies like a remoraz, those sorts of things. Some really deadly creatures that might be up in the wilderness. Maybe they don't have campfires. Maybe because of their powers, maybe they can create light in the calderas. So maybe if you were to come across their tribe, they'd be camping in like
They've got some like copper basins or something that they light ritually across the caldera.
Yeah, I was picturing them all.
They get the oil from their skin that's poisonous, and that lights the fire. It keeps it burning.
Yes. Yeah.
Boom. There we go.
Yeah, I like this. This is cool. So the Calderans. I'm gonna use this. This is legit. I like it.
We'll watch this again. We'll write it down. Maybe we'll put it in like a PDF or something, or just release it in an article. Let's do it. In Hawaii, there's a similar contest taking snow from the mountain down to the shore. So humans are the same across the board because Flutes has the same idea.
Cool.